Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive. So today we're going to do a deep dive into Bernard Arnault, the mastermind behind LVMH. Listeners have been asking us to unpack how this guy built a nearly $400 billion empire, seemingly out of thin air.
Yeah, and what I think is fascinating about Arnault is that he doesn't fit the mold of, a typical entrepreneur. His path to this luxury dominance is anything but predictable.
Right. He started out as an engineer. I mean, how often do you see an engineer at the helm of, the world's largest luxury goods conglomerate? I've read that he almost pursued a career as a concert pianist. Like, could you imagine that alternate timeline where Arnault is composing masterpieces instead of orchestrating these, multi-billion-dollar acquisitions?
It's true. He was exceptionally talented musically, but chose a different path. But I think what's interesting about this near miss with music is that it reveals an important aspect of Arnault's approach. This unique blend of logic and creativity.
It's like the left brain and the right brain working in perfect harmony.
Exactly. And it almost seems like, those two seemingly contrasting skill sets kind of laid the groundwork for his success in the luxury sector, which is a field that's often seen as purely artistic.
Right. And so he graduates from, this very prestigious school in Paris, École Polytechnique. And then he goes on to take over his family's construction business.
Yeah, he did. But he quickly shifted gears and moved that business into real estate during the 1970s when France was experiencing, this real estate boom. And I think this move highlights another key characteristic of Arnault, which is his ability to spot and capitalize on emerging opportunities. He's not just a creative thinker, he's also a very shrewd businessman with an incredible sense of timing.
So how does he go from building apartments to leading the biggest luxury empire in the world?
That is the question.
There has to be a pivotal moment, right, that sort of launched him into the world of high fashion and luxury goods. What is it?
Well, you're absolutely right. And this is where this seemingly insignificant encounter with a New York City taxi driver comes into play. So the story goes that the driver, learning that Arnault was French, asked him if he knew Dior. And that simple question triggered something profound in Arnault's mind.
Wait, are you telling me that the LVMH empire, with all of its, these iconic brands, was essentially born out of a casual chat in a taxi?
It sounds incredible. But it is true. That taxi driver's question made Arnault realize the global recognition and the power of these French luxury brands, and Dior in particular. Now, at the time, Dior was actually owned by this struggling textile company called Dissect.
Okay.
And this is where Arnault's unique blend of logic and creativity really shines. He saw the potential, he saw the diamond in the rough that everyone else seemed to be overlooking.
So what did he do? I'm guessing he didn't just sit on this newfound realization.
He took a calculated risk, a gamble to be precise, and I bought Dissect in 1984 for a staggering $15 million. Many thought it was a foolish move, a recipe for disaster. But Arnault saw something that they didn't. He saw an opportunity to acquire this iconic brand with immense global potential. And this wasn't just luck, this was a calculated decision, driven by his vision and his understanding of the luxury market.
So a chance conversation with a taxi driver leads to the acquisition of one of the most iconic fashion houses in the world. And I mean, this is where it all begins, right? This is the seed of the LVMH empire that we know today.
Absolutely. Acquiring Dior was just the first step. And it was with this acquisition that Arnault really started to formulate the strategy that would become synonymous with his success. Acquire, elevate, repeat.
Acquire, elevate, repeat. I like it.
And that's what we'll explore further as we delve deeper into the rise of the LVMH empire.
So we left off with Arnault acquiring Dior and kind of setting in motion his acquire, elevate, repeat strategy. I have to say it's a pretty catchy phrase. But what exactly does it mean in practice? How do you elevate a brand, especially when you're dealing with names as iconic as Dior?
Well, that's where Arnault's deep understanding of the luxury market really comes into play. He recognized that luxury is about more than just products. It's about heritage. It's about craftsmanship, storytelling even. And he understood the power of synergy while also respecting the need for each brand to kind of maintain its own unique identity.
And you've used the word synergy a couple of times now.
Yeah.
Can you break that down for me a bit? How does synergy work in the context of LVMH's brand management strategy?
Sure. So think of it this way. LVMH is like an orchestra, and each brand is like a unique instrument. Bringing those brands together under this LVMH umbrella allows them to share resources. They can share expertise, marketing power even. For example, they can leverage their collective influence to secure prime retail locations or launch, these huge global advertising campaigns that benefit multiple brands.
Right.
So that's the synergy. But at the same time, each brand needs the freedom to express its own individual voice, maintain its own distinct character. And that's where the autonomy comes in.
Okay, that makes sense. So Arnault brought Louis Vuitton and Moet Hennessy together to form LVMH in 1987. I imagine merging two such powerful brands wasn't exactly a walk in the park.
You're right, it wasn't. There were definitely clashes of egos, competing visions, but Arnault navigated those challenges, I think, with a pretty steady hand, always keeping his eye on that long-term goal. And he understood that to truly elevate these brands, he needed to assemble a team of the best and brightest in the industry.
So how did he go about attracting and managing this all-star team?
Well, Arnault just had this knack for identifying and nurturing talent. He brought in, these top designers like Marc Jacobs for Louis Vuitton, John Galliano for Dior, gave them this creative freedom, but also provided them with the resources and the support they needed to really excel. And this approach, it really helped to revitalize these brands and propel them to even greater heights.
It sounds like he was walking a tightrope, balancing the need for creative freedom with, the overall vision for the LVMH group. And all of this was happening while the world was undergoing this massive digital transformation.
Yeah.
How did Arnault and LVMH respond to the rise of e-commerce and social media?
Well, I think, Arnault is a master of adaptation. He understood that this digital revolution wasn't a threat, but an opportunity to reach new audiences and tell the stories of these LVMH brands in, really innovative ways.
Okay.
So he embraced online platforms, influencer marketing. He even ventured into the metaverse, recognizing the potential of these new channels to, engage consumers and enhance brand experiences. And I think, this forward-thinking approach really helped LVMH stay ahead of the curve and maintain its position as, the leader in the luxury market.
But the luxury market isn't exactly known for its stability.
Yeah.
It's prone to economic downturns, geopolitical uncertainties, global pandemics even. How did Arnault and LVMH weather these storms?
Right.
Well, that's where I think Arnault's resilience and his long-term vision really shines through. Take the 2008 financial crisis, for instance. While many luxury brands were struggling, Arnault actually saw an opportunity. He made some strategic acquisitions. He acquired Bulgari and Rimowa at what some consider to be, bargain prices.
So while others were hitting the brakes, he was doubling down on his investments. That's a pretty bold move.
It was a bold move, and it paid off.
Uh-huh.
Arnault understood that luxury is a cyclical market and that the crisis would eventually pass. His confidence and, these strategic acquisitions positioned LVMH to emerge from that downturn even stronger. And then, of course, we had the COVID-19 pandemic, which brought, really unprecedented challenges to the global economy.
Right. I mean, the pandemic really shook things up. How did LVMH navigate that period of uncertainty and disruption? Well, Arnault again displayed his adaptability. He quickly pivoted LVMH's manufacturing capabilities to produce hand sanitizer, demonstrating a sense of social responsibility while keeping his factories running and his workforce employed. And this move, while seemingly small, really spoke volumes about LVMH's ability to respond to these changing circumstances and, contribute to the greater good.
That's a fantastic example of, agility and thinking outside the box. And it probably didn't hurt LVMH's brand image either. It's clear that Arnault is not one to shy away from a challenge. In fact, he's often been quoted as saying that creativity thrives with a hint of tension. And that brings us to another kind of interesting aspect of his career, his rivalry with François-Henri Pinault, who heads the Kering Group owner of brands like Gucci and Saint Laurent.
Absolutely. It's like this clash of the titans, these two visionary entrepreneurs vying for dominance in the luxury world. And their rivalry, it's pushed both companies to innovate and constantly raise the bar for what luxury can be.
It's fascinating to see how these rivalries kind of shape the industry.
Yeah.
Speaking of shaping the future, let's talk about Bernard Arnault and succession planning. I mean, the man has built an empire, but he's not getting any younger.
Yeah.
So what happens to LVMH when he decides to, step back?
Right. That's the question on everyone's mind. Succession is a crucial aspect of any business, especially a family-run one like LVMH, where personal legacy is so tightly intertwined with the brand. Arnault has 5 children, all of whom are involved in the business in varying degrees.
Like a real-life dynasty unfolding before our eyes.
Yeah.
But this raises some concerns about nepotism, right? I mean, is it really about talent and merit, or are these children just being handed positions because of their last name?
Yeah, it's a valid concern. However, I think if you look closely at Arnault's children, they each hold really impressive credentials, and they've demonstrated their business acumen in their respective roles. Take Delphine, for example. She's currently the CEO of Dior and has played a key role in the brand's recent successes.
So it's not just a case of like handing over the keys to the kingdom. These are individuals who have been groomed for leadership,
Yeah.
right? Learning the ropes and proving their worth within that LVMH structure.
Exactly. And family-run businesses often have, this unique advantage. There's a shared sense of purpose, a long-term vision that extends beyond, quarterly profits. And in the luxury sector, where heritage and legacy are paramount, this can be a really powerful asset.
Right. It's about carrying the torch, building upon the foundation their father laid. But let's be honest, the ultimate measure of success is the bottom line. LVMH's stock performance has been stellar, making Arnault one of the wealthiest individuals on the planet. Is this kind of growth sustainable? Can LVMH maintain its momentum in an increasingly unpredictable world?
Well, that's the billion-dollar question, right? While the luxury market is prone to fluctuations, LVMH has consistently proven its ability to adapt and innovate. They've weathered recessions, pandemics, and the rise of e-commerce. But I think the real test lies in anticipating and responding to, future trends.
And what are some of the challenges that you think LVMH might face moving forward?
Well, the luxury landscape is changing rapidly. We're seeing a rise in digital experiences, a growing emphasis on sustainability, and a new generation of consumers with, different values and expectations.
So how can LVMH cater to these evolving demands while staying true to those, core values of luxury, exclusivity, craftsmanship, heritage?
That's the balancing act they'll have to master, right? They'll need to find ways to incorporate, digital innovation and sustainable practices without diluting their brand equity. They also need to connect with these younger consumers who are more discerning and more value-driven.
It sounds like the future of LVMH hinges on its ability to evolve and adapt to this new landscape.
Absolutely. Bernard Arnault has built an incredible empire, but its continued success will depend on how the next generation of leaders navigate the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
Well, it's been quite a journey diving deep into the world of Bernard Arnault and LVMH. From a chance encounter with a taxi driver to building this global luxury empire, his story is truly one of a kind.
And while we've learned a great deal about, his strategies, his vision, and his remarkable journey, there are still so many questions unanswered. Will LVMH continue its dominance? What innovations will they bring to the luxury market? And how will they shape the future of luxury itself?
These are all questions that, we'll continue to explore as the LVMH saga unfolds. And we encourage you to think critically about what we've discussed today. What lessons can we learn from Bernard Arnault's success? How will the luxury market evolve in the years to come?
And remember, the world of luxury is dynamic and constantly changing, just like Arnault's empire. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the stories that shape our world.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.